Most people believe they would never obey an order that harms someone else. They believe their conscience would stop them. That at some point, they would simply refuse. After all, history is full of moments where people followed authority into actions they later regretted. And we like to believe we would have acted differently. But psychology has revealed something deeply unsettling about human behavior. Under the right conditions, ordinary people will obey authority, even when they believe what they are doing is wrong. We tend to see obedience as a problem of character. We assume that the people who follow harmful orders must be cruel, weak, or easily manipulated. It allows us to draw a comforting conclusion. Those people were different from us. But psychological research suggests that obedience is not limited to a particular type of person. In fact, the tendency to obey authority may be far more universal than we like to admit. Most societies function because people follow rules. From childhood, we are taught to listen to teachers, parents, and leaders. Authority becomes associated with order, safety, and structure. And because of that, disobeying authority can feel surprisingly uncomfortable, even when our instincts tell us something is wrong. In the early 1960s, psychologist Stanley Milgram set out to understand how far ordinary people would go when instructed by an authority figure. Participants were told they were taking part in a study about learning and memory. Their role was simple. They would ask another participant a series of questions. Each time the other person answered incorrectly, the participant would deliver an electric shock. The shocks increased in intensity with every mistake. The participants believed the shocks were real. But there was something they didn't know. The person receiving the shocks was actually an actor. And the real purpose of the experiment was to observe how people responded to authority. As the shocks increased, the actor began to protest. He complained about pain. He asked to be released. Eventually, he began screaming. Some participants hesitated. Some looked uncomfortable. But when they questioned whether they should continue, the researcher calmly instructed them to proceed. And surprisingly, many did. The results shocked even the researchers. A large percentage of participants continued delivering shocks all the way to the highest voltage level, even when they believed they were causing severe harm. Some participants showed clear signs of distress. They sweated. They trembled. They laughed nervously. But when the authority figure insisted the experiment must continue, many obeyed. The experiment revealed something deeply uncomfortable. Obedience to authority can override personal judgment. Not because people are cruel, but because the presence of authority changes how responsibility is perceived. One of the key forces at work is known as authority bias. Humans are naturally inclined to trust and follow those who appear to hold legitimate power. Uniforms, titles, and institutional roles signal authority. And once that signal is accepted, people often assume the authority figure knows better. Another powerful factor is the diffusion of responsibility. When people are following instructions, they may feel that responsibility belongs to the authority figure rather than themselves. The decision is no longer their choice. It becomes the authority's decision. This subtle shift makes actions feel psychologically easier. There is also the influence of gradual escalation. In the experiment, the shocks increased in small increments. Each step seemed only slightly more intense than the last. And because participants had already complied with previous steps, refusing the next one became harder. Over time, small acts of obedience can accumulate into actions that would have seemed unimaginable at the beginning. Today, obedience to authority doesn't usually take the form of laboratory experiments. but the psychological forces behind it still exist. Authority influences behavior in workplaces, institutions, and social systems. People may follow policies they privately disagree with. They may support decisions they internally question. Not always because they believe those decisions are correct, but because authority creates a powerful expectation of compliance. Most of the time, this obedience helps societies function. But it also raises an important question. How often do people pause to question authority when something feels wrong? The real lesson from these experiments is not that people are easily controlled. It is that human behavior is deeply influenced by context. Authority can shape perception. It can shift responsibility. And it can make obedience feel like the safest option. The unsettling truth is that many people who participated in the experiment were not cruel or malicious. They were ordinary individuals placed in a situation where obedience felt easier than resistance. Which leads to a question that psychology still asks today. Not whether people obey authority. History has already shown that they do. But whether we recognize the moment when obedience begins to replace judgment. And sometimes, people don't obey authority. They obey the crowd. Subscribe if you want to understand the hidden systems shaping human behavior.